Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, welcome everyone. We're happy to be back with the latest webinar. We haven't done one for a couple of months, and I've been on the road quite a bit the last couple of weeks doing our real-time marketing lab tour in the Midwest and Southeast, and we're going to Canada next week. But today we're really excited to have Michael Ross with us. Tony Rinsberg, who was originally slated to do the presentation, and the CMO of Soci had a last minute family emergency taking him out of the country. And but we are very good hands with Michael, who is the head of product development, and probably knows the ins and outs of the platform better than anybody. And he's going to be talking about the future of Google Plus for business, which I think is an issue and concern on everybody's minds today. On what is happening with Google. Is it something to still consider? Where's it going to be 12 or 18 months from now? But Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you now and make you the presenter. And if you can share your screen when you get that.
Perfect.
And then we'll, please submit questions in the question box, and depending on its relevancy to where we are in the talk, I might interrupt Michael. Otherwise, I'll hold them till the end. Michael, I'll let you take it away.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that warm and kind introduction. I appreciate it. Excited to talk with you all today about Google Plus. As a little bit of background, I am the head of product here at Soci. I have been for about the past 3 years. And one of the coolest, I think, product features that I've been able to manage was actually the integration of Google Plus into our system. Google Plus is really tight-knit. It's something that they don't hand out to many different providers. So very happy and excited that Soci gets to be one of them. And I hope that some of the things I'm going to speak with you about now are insightful and helpful. And please, if you have any questions at all, fire them away. I love helping you guys out however I can. Cool. So the future of Google Plus for business. So to kick it off, I thought it might be most helpful to first just really break down the history of Google Plus. A couple of the things that have happened that maybe will help us understand the past and also the future. So in 2011, Google Plus launched. This was something that Google was super excited about. It was quite naturally their goal or their vision to try and compete with Facebook. In 2012, they claimed that they had about 90 million Google Plus users. They will, depending upon whose blogs you read, admit that some of them were maybe a little more forced users than others, but a very strong play was always for SMBs. March 2012, Google calls Google Plus the next generation of the internet. Again, their goal was to really take a social network and meld it into all of the different other web applications that Google has to kind of become a one destination for everything that you could possibly need. And then in April 2014, Vic Gundotra, sorry, I'm just calling him Vic, that's what I call him. Basically the guy who's been in charge of the whole Google Plus product from the very beginning left. This was incredibly shocking to anyone that was following this closely. And I think it might have even been a shock to some people at Google. But then as of March 2015, Google detethered Google Plus from YouTube and some of the other Google applications that we were previously talking about. So you can see if we were to just talk about the history as a whole, it seems like something Google was super, super excited about. Then all of a sudden, when Vic left for some unknown or debated reason, sentiment seemed to change. I want to point out that Google, through this process, has spent over $500 million on this product. So for all the naysayers out there that believe they're going to just scratch Google Plus and toss it in the can, I can tell you that I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that is what they're going to do. I think they're going to end up transforming it into something else. So now we're going to kind of talk on some of those points.
Hey, Michael, just
So, yeah, go ahead.
if you're able to project your voice just a little bit and maybe speak a little bit louder, I think it'll be helpful for some people.
Sure, no problem at all. Here, I'll take it off speaker and just hold the phone up. Is this a little better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Excellent, perfect. So then, so moving forward, I just want to talk about the vision, the original vision of Google+. So Vic was famous for saying, you can think of Google+ as Google 2.0, the next generation of Google. The old Google was soiled. Your identity and how you share with your family was different across each product. In the new version of Google, we know your name, we understand your circles, and we make every service better. So again, speaking to kind of that original vision of Google+, it was meant to be sort of this fabric that connected all of the different Google+ applications into one consistent product. There are a lot of societal issues that or behavioral issues that kind of played into this. This was kind of at the same point that Facebook had started shifting over some of the way that it shares public information and personal information to the public. So some people will say that Google's idea was a very solid one, but that maybe the time at which they chose to sort of promote this or really push the personal data point was maybe a little bit flawed because of the backlash that Facebook was receiving at that point in time surrounding personal data and how it's used across the internet. So that was the goal, though. That was the vision. And so once Vic left, the big problem then became, okay, well, we don't really have this visionary who sees data being shared across all applications as our leader anymore. And also we're getting some feedback or some kickback from consumers that maybe they don't want to share all of their information across all of these different groups. So naturally, they started to decouple products. The most notable decoupling was between Google+ and YouTube. And again, they did this because of the feedback that they had received from clients that they really didn't want to share all of their information across these different apps. So why decoupling? Basically Google is looking to refine, optimize, and focus their social network. So instead of making Google+ sort of this fabric that exists across all these different applications, let's make it what it is, a social network. So let's focus on how we can make it a social network. So, you can still tie in Google products and different services with Google+. However, users won't be forced to have Google+ in order to use any of those other applications like YouTube. And again, like we've kind of mentioned, the goal here is to separate the social identity and other identities so that people don't have to feel like Google+ is something that they must absolutely use in order to have access to any other Google products. So again, the focus here still, what I'm hoping you're seeing, isn't anything negative about destroying or getting rid of Google+, but that it's instead about actually converting it into what it is supposed to be, which is a social network. So the big question that I'm sure a lot of you have in your minds is, so what do these changes mean for Google+, and what do they mean for your business or businesses that you represent? All in all, it's not really something that's going to impact or affect your business in a negative way, right? It's not going to go away. It's too embedded in local SEO practices and other search products. So it's here to stay, and it's very valuable to different businesses, which we'll review here in just a minute. But for the majority of businesses utilizing Google+ for SEO and local SEO value, the change won't really do much. Because again, they're just decoupling the data from across other Google+ apps. So the actual way that Google+ functions will still remain very similar. There are some UI changes that Google+ has suggested that they may be making, but none are official yet. I'm sure that in a very Google-esque way, one day we'll all sign on to Google+ and it will look, just like Pinterest or something of the sort, or just like Instagram, but it will still function and have all the core components that it previously had. So again, Google will continue to heavily weight Google+ content and business page information to generate local results, as you can see simply by searching pizza. If you think that Google Plus does not carry search weight, then I would challenge you to just go to Google, type in pizza San Diego, and I guarantee you that you'll see some Google Plus places pop up. And that's just to strengthen and fortify the fact that Google Plus is in fact here to stay and will not be going away. So, some other points: local results in places like we were just talking about will continue to be ranked in search in Google Plus information. So this is still something that, of course, you should have in your social strategies. Make sure that you do have a Google Plus page. Make sure that it is set up properly, and make sure that you are pushing content out to it, which are two of the items that we'll touch on here in just a second. So like we were saying, you want to make sure that if you really want to receive the benefits of Google Plus as it currently exists, you need to make sure that you're filling out all of your business information 100% accurately. And literally, if there's a Google Plus field for some piece of data, make sure that you're filling it out. Even if it seems silly to you, it carries some value to Google and will inevitably be used at some point in the search process. So make sure you have it filled out completely. Make sure it's up to date. If you already have pages that exist, make sure that as much of a hassle as it can be, if you need to change your address, you're changing your address, or you're changing other key information. It's really, really important. So some people, I'm sure, have heard that, Google doesn't use social sites or social signals in their SEO rankings. I think that it's easy to debate that point, but I'm not going to jump into that too far. I just want to instead read you a quote from Matt Cutts, who is the famous head of search at Google. He said, "We don't use Twitter or Facebook social signals to rank pages." This is a direct quote. If you read this closely, you'll notice that something's missing. And what's missing? Google Plus. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they can say until they're blue in the face that they don't use social signals from Twitter or Facebook or some other networks. However, do any Google for any local search, and I guarantee you that you will find some Google Plus pages, because they do matter, and since they matter and since they are returning search results, they're 100% something that any small business or any small business service provider or even any big brand needs to be partaking in.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Now that Google is displaying more Twitter certain results in their searches, do you think that might be changing a little bit, at least as far as Twitter's concerned?
Possibly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, so they are showing more tweets like in actual search results, which is great. I think it's awesome because it's a relevant piece of information to someone who's searching for something, right? I'm a big fan and supporter of that. I think that Twitter we might see some change from. I doubt that Google will ever become very friendly with Facebook because ultimately from a business level objective, they have two very similar goals. So yes, Twitter, you will start to see more, I'm sure. Yelp, you already do. Any of those sort of any of those independent networks that aren't Facebook, basically, I'm sure you will continue to see increasingly in search results. However, I don't think that will in any way devalue Google Plus from those search results, because at the end of the day, it's their baby, as bad as that sounds. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you move forward.
Sure, no problem. So, Google will continue to reward consistent Google Plus posting in domain authority, content indexing, and search engine ranking. This basically is just a fancy way of saying you need to be posting stuff to your Google Plus pages because there's something. Yeah. Why? Because one, Google can accurately see and analyze the data from Google Plus without relying on a third-party relationship. So when they get a link or when they get some information or they see some shares on a post, they don't have to extrapolate meaning. They don't have to figure out what a share is worth to Facebook or what a comment is or how many people saw it. They just know because it's on their network. And because of that, they can then more accurately use that data. Second, Google still believes in the philosophy that the web is social, and utilizing social signals has benefits to delivering the best content for a given search query. I think that this is a great point that actually really fortifies what we were saying with Twitter earlier. I do believe that Google does like social signals. I think they just don't like saying that Facebook's involved. And so as an example here, I think we will continue to see other networks that are not Facebook see and grow in sort of popularity among search results. And then third, Google will do everything in its power to effectively take traffic from Facebook and Twitter, but mainly Facebook, and they can utilize the SEO value of Google Plus to do this. So again, Google Plus is their baby. They're happy to help users, and they want to make sure that users are finding the most relevant information possible as fast as possible. But if they have that data on a Google Plus page, you can bet your bottom dollar that they are going to return to a user a Google Plus result before they would return some other social network. So yeah, this is a great graphic of Google Plus and Facebook battling it out. Cool. So, the next question that I typically get asked when we say, hey, should you be posting to Google Plus is, okay, well, hey, what should I be posting to Google Plus? This goes back to just, knowing your user, right? You need to be posting relevant news, blog posts, articles. You don't necessarily need to be posting, funny dog pics or cute babies, things that necessarily get engagement, but more things that are relevant and resonate with your audience and accurately represent your business, right? Because at the end of the day, you're handing that to Google to say, hey, this is about us. So make sure that it is, of course, relevant. Always post your latest blogs, any press that you have received, or anything else that, again, signifies something true and actual about you and your business. This has a couple of different pros. One, it can actually help your content get indexed faster, and has been proven to improve search rankings of your content on your domain. So it's just a fancy way of saying that, again, because it's Google and you're showing them that it's about you, it's just basically helping you rank better and better. And then finally, since you won't always have news or a news blog post, utilize relevant industry news and articles. So, maybe your SMB that you're representing or your own personal business doesn't necessarily have creative to publish out or blog posts to publish out, every week or multiple times a week. It's fine if you're using industry relevant news and articles, because then you're actually signaling to Google, hey, when I post about, other chiropractor things, it's relevant and related to me because I'm a chiropractor. So I might not have a blog of my own to publish, but Google is seeing that I'm publishing things about chiropractors. So maybe then there is a relationship.
Hey, Robert. I'm sorry, Michael.
Sure.
I've got a question on this from Susie, and she's asking, is it better to reproduce your entire blog post content on your Google Plus page, or just a brief description and link to the actual post?
It's contested on what form is, like, quote, the best. I think ultimately the most optimal strategy is just to make sure that you're doing it. Make sure that any link that you have published has at some point seen Google Plus. The format, we can go a lot of different ways, but I would recommend that you make sure the link is actually in the post. That is the most important part. I would recommend also that you use Google Plus built-in feature of pulling your metadata to make sure that you have the image appearing and also the metadata title and description fields that you want to make sure your brand is resonating, right? So Google Plus won't let you edit those like Facebook or Twitter would. So it's actually a really good double check, right, to make sure that any piece of content that you are publishing actually has the image that you want to be showing and also the title and descriptions that are relevant to that specific article. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. I'll see if she has any more comments. I'll pass them on.
Okay, excellent, cool. And just at the bottom of the slide, I have just a couple examples of some things that Sochi posts. So, on the leftmost, we were awarded a Cool Companies Award. So we made sure to post about it on Google+. In the center, our founder and CEO was in an article, so we made sure to post that on Google+ as well. And then, as an example of relevant industry topics, Twitter recently eliminated the 140 character count for direct messages. So we made sure that we posted about that on Google+. So these are just some, different examples of things that would be good and relevant to post to Google+. Cool. And so now just a few tips and tricks when scheduling content to Google+. Basically, you want to be posting about 1 to 2 times a week at first, just to kind of start to build traction. This differs among industries, but all in all, you should be okay with this. But make sure that if you're posting, going back to the previous slide, you're posting relevant stuff that actually matters to your business. So that is either a signaler of things that you have done or things that are relevant to your industry. And then if, this is working, if you're kind of catching some traction from different users on Google+, then you can, of course, bump up or bump down your posting schedule, just so long as you're being consistent in whatever it is that you're doing. That's the most important part, right? You're rolling a snowball up a hill, right, or down a hill, however you want, and eventually it will add more snow and get bigger and bigger. So the important part is that you just keep pushing the ball along, and it will continue to gain traction. So again, consistency is key. A consistent posting schedule isn't necessarily for Google+, but is more for your users. So if they, know to expect something at X time or Y time, they are technically, from statistics modeling, more likely to engage with those individual pieces of content down the road, because it's almost like it's just expected, right? It's expected, so you're ready for it, so you're excited for it, kind of thing. And, you can't always control when news breaks about your company or your industry. So, of course, still place a priority on getting content posted ASAP rather than, sticking to your hard schedule. So, if you were just covered in, ABC or NBC or CNN or just some news outlet, just get it onto Google+ right away, even if that breaks your posting strategy. So, you of course need to follow the consistent strategy as much as you can. However, when it comes to news, you need to make sure that you're getting that out as soon as possible. And like we've been saying, just make sure that if you're posting 1 to 2 times a week and you're running out of things to say, either get help from someone that can help with your content strategy, or make sure that you're just looking at relevant industry feeds or channels or different things that have relevant information. You don't want to get to the point where you're using Google+ like your grandma's Facebook, right? Where you're posting funny pictures of your kids or your baby's kids, unless of course that's your business. So if that's your business, or if that's the property that you are representing, then ignore what I just said. But the key is, of course, to be relevant. Relevant, of course, just breaks down a little farther to using keywords and phrases that trigger emotional connection to the industry or business that you're in. And, hashtags on Google+ are actually really, really powerful. I know when you say hashtag, you typically think Instagram or you think Facebook, but on Google+, they're actually very, very powerful, and they're a great way to sort of connect with other super users on the Google+ ecosphere. So definitely use some hashtags if you are familiar with any. If you're not, feel free to experiment. You can try some hashtags. Just make sure that you check out the hashtag before you include it. You don't want to end up hashtagging some phrase or word that you don't really know what means, and then it ends up connecting your content to something that is very, very far from what it actually is or what you intended it to be. So please use hashtags wisely, but be wary of their power. Cool. So almost there. The last thing I just really wanted to kind of talk to you about was just how to improve your Google+ results with the tips that we have sort of talked about. It really boils down to making sure that you know your goals, right? So just before you get started on any kind of strategy, I would challenge you to just take out a piece of paper. Just say, okay, what are my goals? What is it that I'm trying to get from using Google+? Is it just simply SEO boost? Is it actually finding and engaging new fans? What is my goal? So speaking on that, Google+ is probably not where you're going to generate a huge amount of leads or inbound traffic. This does really depend upon your industry. Here again, I have seen some bloggers or some fashion people do extremely well on Google+. When you get into some tight-knit circles or some tight-knit hashtags. But for the most part, by and by, for the typical SMB or the occasional brand, you're not going to get a huge amount of leads or inbound traffic here. But it is still critical for social. It is still critical for social success, just because of the juice that it brings along with it. And to be honest, I think that as Google+ undoubtedly changes, it will probably become more popular in the future, right? As it kind of gets this rebrand, repolish, refresh, and refocus. I would imagine we're going to see some pretty cool things from it in the future. So, and again, the primary benefit being the Google algorithm and making sure that you have a Google+ page because it is included in local results. And the content, like we were saying in the previous slide, is something that will be seen as your brand being directly associated to or owners of. So again, it's really important that you publish your content here. So bottom line, it all wraps up to one simple point. Even though Google+ is changing and probably not your best source of direct leads, it will continue to have major implications on search rankings, making it a must for any business or brand. You need to be on Google+. So please make sure to sit down and jot that out. It's just something your business needs. So is there any questions that I could take?
Well, Michael, I'm going to, as we're waiting for any questions to come in, I'm going to ask you a question that maybe would help some of the audience and myself even. Is are there any good case study brands or even small businesses that you've seen utilizing Google+ well and are getting decent engagement at the same time?
Totally. Yeah. So I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can tell you the one strategy I've seen very successful with the different agencies or brands that we work with is that they know that Google+ is the area where maybe a major brand has a representative that is actually monitoring and managing their page. Other brands can use that as a way to contact or reach someone from that individual business because they typically have less engagement or less traction on Google+. So then when they get a comment there, you've actually reached that social manager, that brand manager. So if you're trying to do outreach of this kind, I think that's part of the reason we've seen fashion bloggers do pretty well on Google+ as one example, because they're able to actually the in-brand or the in-target. Because there's less noise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're having a little bit of audio problem from you, Michael. Are you close to your cell phone again, or could be? Are you calling in from your cell? It might be a little bit of the problem. But what I would suggest, I've got one question for you coming in, but what might be helpful actually when we post the recording is if you actually could send me some links to some brands and businesses you think the audience could take a look at. I think that may be helpful supplemental material.
Okay, great.
Eve is asking, is there any benefit for a company that is not location-based to use Google+? Eve, I'm not sure I understand your reference in terms of, well, maybe he's mentioning large brand names like Box and Twitter and IBM, so they're large businesses that are national all over the place that aren't specifically location based.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And you don't have to just be location based. I'm getting the feedback as well, actually. I'm not on my computer. I'm on my
Yeah, we have a lot of people getting feedback as well. Maybe it's coming from my end. Let me ask this next question.
You're getting the reverb.
Yeah, let me ask this next question, and then I'll mute myself. Google is under a lot of legal pressure in Europe specifically to deprioritize their own properties in search results and increase results from competitors from like Yelp. How will this impact the SEO benefit of G+?
All right, let's see. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that muting helps. Okay, cool. So all in all, that's a common economic trend, right? Anytime any one big player comes in and dominates the market, you're going to have legal pressures, right? You're going to have regulations that come into play. I think that at least in the States, what we're going to see is Google doing more things like Mozilla, right? Like funding independently or explicitly other companies that operate in the browser space. I think they're going to do the same thing with search, right? So just get buddy-buddy with someone else who runs search, support them in any way that they can. They're still good friends, and they still dominate the market. Even if someone else comes in, there is a huge media campaign that would have to come into play, right, in order to actually remove consumer sentiment towards Google. And I think that's really the difficult part. So I think Google will continue to remain on top, and even if there is legal play that sort of comes in, they'll have a small portion of the share and will basically just get to a legally compliant size and then just continue to dominate, probably need to fund whoever that second or third party is as well.
Michael, to go back to Eve's question, maybe if you could answer a little more fully, is there a benefit for a company that's not location-based to use Google+?
Sure. Totally. Absolutely. 100% there is. So again, it goes back to that piece where we were talking about telling Google who you are related to, right, or what industries you're in, or authenticating or verifying your ownership of content. If you're a brand that's not location-based, I would challenge that your online presence is debatably even more important, right? Because you don't have a physical location. So you need to be seizing your content, and you need to be really associating as strongly as possible with Google what you stand for, what your brand is about, what industry you're in via content distribution and content rankings.
Michael, thank you. Well, we don't have any other questions coming in at the moment. Unless another one squeaks in, I'm going to, thank you very much for doing this today. I think it's been very beneficial. I think it's going to be interesting to see where Google does go over the next 12 to 18 months. And I think a lot of people are, I think they're ignoring it, actually. I think that there's a greater majority at the moment within the social community that feels like Google's not worth the effort. And maybe just for the SEO, that's reason enough. But any last thoughts, Michael?
No, just really want to leave you guys with the fact that Google Plus does matter. If there's anything that I can do to help you, if you have any further questions, please feel free to, of course, reach out and keep up the good fight.
Well, Michael, thank you very much. Daryl, we actually, Michael did answer that question a little bit earlier, and you'll be able to hear it in the recording. So I do apologize for any audio issues we had today. We'll take a look at that and try to ensure that we don't have that again on future webinars. But thank you for the feedback. It's very helpful. And Michael, again, thank you very much for your time today. Great presentation. If you can send me some of those brand links, we'll be sure to share that with the audience, and I think that will be very helpful.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.